Oh, yeah. Good morning. Welcome to Monday. Welcome to this crazy week. Plenty of nerdvention to do, and I don't want you to worry. Because I'm on my mother flipping way. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the stream. Excited to be here with you guys. Excited to get into all the nerdy stuff. There's good, there's bad, there's confusing. Another week for us nerds, man. And we got a lot that I want to get into today, so I'm quite excited. We're going to be talking about Quantumania in the box office a little bit. Looking... Well, we'll get into it. And also, I want to talk a little bit about Jeff Loveness and the multiple interviews that Loveness has been doing, talking about Marvel, talking about Quantumania, but also just talking about the MCU, the future, the next Avengers movie. I don't know that I've ever seen a writer do this many interviews. He is very open to getting out there and talking to everybody about what's going on. And I figured, why not? We'll dive into that ourselves and see how we're feeling about some of the comments that are being made. And look, we'll get into that, okay? We're also going to talk show notes. We're going to talk a little bit about The Mandalorian, Star Wars, all these exciting things that are happening in the freaking crazy world. I'm pulling into the tower. I'll see you in a second. Ah, yes. Ah, yes. Let's settle in. Let's settle in. Chat, what the fuck? I already can't. God damn it. I really thought you had it. I really thought you were going to nail it today. Moving right along. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Happy to see you here. Truly happy to be streaming with you as always. Hey, look, I always have a good time on these streams. I always have a good time with you guys in Nerdvengers Tower. If you're having a good time too, well, I think the best way that you can support it and try to get more people into the tower so we can have even more fun is to like and subscribe. I know it's weird. I don't love it either. And I know many of you guys are probably watching. You don't even have a YouTube account, or you're on your one phone and you're not logged into your YouTube account, and you're like, dude, I have to go through all these hoopalas and ladders and shoots and things to subscribe to help you, Josh. Yeah, you do. So just fucking help me out a little here. Help me out here. Help me out. Okay, so should I give me 1 second? Should I hold the L? Guys, should we start with the UFC? I know, right? Welcome to the Den of Nerds. We're going to start with the UFC. Interesting, right? Yeah, look, should I hold the L? Is that what I should do? Hang on, give me 1 second here. Oh, we're gonna do a thing. I didn't think this was gonna be the way it started, but I should have known. I should have known that chat was gonna be like, Josh, right away, why don't you hold the L real quick on that Jon Jones shit? Okay, look. There you go. Okay? There you go. Are you happy? Is this what you want? Is this not why you are here? Now, let's talk about this briefly, and then I want to get into the show notes, and I want to get into the nerdy shit. Okay, look, it's very rare, you know. I don't know. I can't remember the last time I was wrong about any old thing. So here's the question. right? Obviously, Jones came out. Here's my take. Did Liam draw that L? How dare you, Jake? How dare you? Okay, here's my take on all of that. Obviously, I was wrong. Jones, I don't even necessarily want to say he looked incredible, but my honest take on this whole thing, by the way, incredible night of fights. I thought the fights were awesome, which was very welcome for me because I had a real shitty Saturday. Like, Saturday was rough for me. And then finally got to chill, kick it, get home, and watch the fights, and they were great. Here's my take on Jones, though. It's almost like we don't... I obviously wish we would have seen more. You don't really get to see the physicality. You don't really get to see if he's got a lot in the gas tank. You don't really get to see a lot. But here's the thing. You got to give credit to Jones, and this is where I think a lot of people, including myself, underestimate him. It's his fight IQ. It's his fight IQ. And I know some people were like, oh, dude, it's bullshit. They probably just, look at how fast he tapped. Like, they probably just set this up because they're trying to build him up like it's WWE or some shit like that. And I just don't agree with that at all. I watched it a lot. And the truth of the matter is, he picked his spot well. He had control over Gon in a way that I think had Gon really nervous and confused. And then he grabbed his throat and he choked the shit out of him. You know? And, like, you can't do that, especially in the moment with adrenaline and you're in a flow state. You can't do that unless your fight IQ is, like, fucking phenomenal. So, like, the one thing you can say about Jones for sure is he has not lost a beat as far as his fight IQ. Incredible. Like, it was really, really incredible. And I'm also kind of left wondering, like, is Gon, like, that bad? Or is Jones that good? You know what I mean? It's a difficult one. I think the Stipe fight, which now, like, everybody's really going to be excited about. The Stipe fight's probably going to be, you know, a real test for Jon. But, like, you got to give credit where credit is due. 3 years off, goes to heavyweight, comes in and chokes a dude out in 3 minutes. It's pretty much GOAT status. So, yeah, he is that good. We'll see if the physicality is there. We'll see. I think everybody in the world understands that Stipe is a much better challenge, and Stipe was training for Francis. Stipe put on a lot of weight and he's training for Francis, so we'll see. Should be a good fight. But yeah, I'll hold the L on that. You know, it's so funny because Dirty was hitting me up that night on Twitter and he was like, did you end up putting any money on it? And you guys know, or at least some of you guys know, I've been having a lot of trouble with my phones, so I got a new phone, and I have none of my passwords, none of my shit for any of the apps or anything like that. So I actually didn't bet, but I was gonna put $1,000 on Gon. I was gonna put $1,000 on Gon, and so I guess I'm lucky in a sense that that didn't work. Okay, so fine, let's move on. I held the L. Okay. Now we're gonna have a good stream today, and we're gonna have a good week as nerds. I promise. First thing today, we're gonna be doing a giveaway later in the show for not one but two $200 GameStop gift cards. All you got to do is be a member. It's the best way to support the channel. If you are a Nerdventure member, we're going to draw for 2 of those today. I only have one, though. I've got to go out and get the other one. But we're going to draw for both of them today. So we'll do that later on in the show. That's going to be really, really cool. Also, guys, tomorrow we will be doing another watch party for The Mandalorian Episode 2. Holy crap, XA is gifting 10 members. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate the support. So we're going to do a watch party tomorrow for the 2nd episode of The Mandalorian. I'm incredibly excited for it. However, there's definitely going to be a thing that we've got to talk about after this 2nd episode. So look out for that. I'm also going to not play Mandalorian music, and I'm going to try to, like, obscure the screen a little bit more so that it doesn't get blocked by Disney. It kind of sucks, man. I know a lot of you guys like watching the replay of the watch party, so my bad on that. We're going to do better tomorrow and try to get it so it's not blocked, okay? Also, we will not be doing a Nerdvenger stream tomorrow. We're instead going to be doing that Thursday morning at 11. And we're going to be chilling. We're going to spend at least an hour, maybe a couple of hours, hanging out with the Nerdvengers. And what we're going to do on Thursday is we're going to play Marvel Snap for prizes, okay? So if you've got Marvel Snap and you've got a cool team, you can battle me on Thursday on the Nerdvenger stream, and if you win, you get a prize, and we'll ship it out. If not, I get to gloat, and I'll put the prize on my shelf. So it's going to be really, really fun. I hope to see many of you guys there on Thursday. Should be a really fun stream for the community. And we're also going to do a Saturday morning cartoon stream this Saturday. So at 10 in the morning, if you're a member, we'll be doing a cartoon stream. What I want to do this week is watch a lot of Rebels and Clone Wars. I want to watch some Mandalorian shit. I want to get inundated. I want to go deep on the Mandalorian stuff, kind of like we did 2 weeks ago when we went into all of the Marvel cartoons and we were watching like all the cosmic stuff. I want to do that same thing, but I want to do it for the Mandalorian stuff. So that should be a really good stream. So basically, if you're a Nerdventure member, a lot of dope stuff happening this week for members. So look out for all of that and more. Should be really, really fun. So, couple of different things on the agenda for today. I think maybe the place to start, the place to begin, is with the box office for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And I think that's a nice way to sort of then segue into talking about Jeff Loveness and talking about a lot of his comments and interviews and things of that nature. It's interesting time to be a Marvel fan, to say the least. So let me get this pulled up here. Let me get this pulled up here. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay. So, we talked about this a little bit last week, right? Biggest second weekend box office drop in the Marvel Cinematic Universe history. Not good. But at the time last week, it still looked like, just looking at the trajectory, it still looked like the movie was going to outpace and outgross the first Ant-Man and the second Ant-Man. And what I said at the time, and other people were talking about this too, is that if that was indeed going to be the case, Marvel kind of had an out. Right? Like, they'd be able to kind of say, well, the franchise made more and more money. The third one made more than any of the other ones. So this is a success for the Ant-Man franchise. We like it. It's fine. In the wake of course, the second lowest Rotten Tomato, or tied for the lowest Rotten Tomato score in all of the MCU. Biggest second weekend box office drop. A lot of negativity, but it seemed like, again, they were going to sort of be able to like slide out, wiggle out of it and kind of maybe consider it a W of sorts. However, that is no longer the case. So, like we can talk about this one. I think the article that I shared from Murphy's Multiverse is actually a better thing to pull up here. Let's look at this. And even they sort of, I think, spin it a little bit more positively than it is. So, here we go. Let's just read from this. All eyes are on Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania's box office run, some with shock and others with glee. The film faced a record second weekend drop that is slightly above Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice back in 2016. God damn. Whew. That was a rough one, dude. Do y'all remember, by the way, do y'all remember the time, like, were you in the nerdy fandom when Batman v Superman came out? Oh, man. Wild times for DC. Harsh times. I remember seeing that movie, and, like, there was all this controversy. People were, like, livid. It got shit on by the critics and all these different things. I mean, so I went and saw it, and I remember being like, dude, it's not that bad. Like, it's not that bad. Like, I'm riding with it. And then the Martha moment happened, and I was just, like, done. I was like, nah, dude, this is garbage. Interestingly enough, though, the director's cut of that movie is, like, way better. It's crazy to me. The director's cut of that movie is fantastic. The theatrical one was just weird. Regardless, not great company to be in as far as a box office drop, okay? As of now, the film saw a smaller international drop in its third week compared to the domestic performance, as it pulled in $22 million in 52 markets. That's a 53% drop and a bit of a better hold than the 61 we saw domestically at $12 million plus. As such, the film stands domestically at 186.7 and internationally at 232. Worldwide, the film is now at 419, almost 420. Giggity, and is still expected to pass 500 million worldwide, going by Deadline's current expectations, while others believe it might barely miss that benchmark. I believe the Deadline article puts the estimate, and that I think is on the post we were just at. Oh, shit. Yeah, 470 to 510 globally. So essentially, according to the analysts, it has basically no chance of surpassing Ant-Man and the Wasp. Okay? That's wild enough. But if it doesn't hit 5, right? If it doesn't even get to 5, it will be the lowest of the franchise. If it doesn't hit 5, it's in the same league and it's in company with movies like Black Widow, I think Eternals made less than 5 or right about 5, and even Shang-Chi. And the asterisks that everybody likes to apply to those movies, number one with Black Widow is like, obviously the pandemic, but it was also released day and date on Disney+. The other two movies, Shang-Chi and Eternals, were really thought to be hindered by the pandy. That I don't really think is a consideration anymore, at least for box office, right? So this is a tricky one, man. This is a tricky one because I, for one, am actually glad that this is happening. And, it kind of repeats, a lot of the things I've been saying for the past several weeks. I really dislike Quantumania. And I don't just dislike it as a film. I dislike it as a product. I think it's an incomplete product. I think it was phoned in a lot of ways. I think it was not given the proper care. And we've heard so many stories kind of filling in the gaps for us, right? Lack of action scenes because CG visual effects not even completed. Workers that were doing CG work on Quantumania made to go work on Wakanda Forever. It just literally seems like a movie that really wasn't given the care from Marvel Studios that I think it should have been. Like, if you're going to come out and you're going to promote a movie as the beginning of Phase 5, as somewhat of a turnaround, right? Because you kind of read between the lines. You're going to talk about the Avengers return, the Dynasty begins. You're marketing the movie as though it is a very important, significant movie. It does not feel like it was treated as such. Now, I know many of you guys like the movie. Totally cool. Like that, no worries at all. But you cannot argue. Like, I do not want to get into another Andor situation where, like, people are denying the reality of the situation. It is absolutely fine if you loved Andor. It is the lowest performing Star Wars show ever and probably hurt the Star Wars brand. I know that's, like, mind-blowing, like, get you all butthurt, like, rage-inducing shit. It's also just the fucking facts. And so when it comes to Quantumania, it's basically at a point where you can't deny the wider audience and the wider fan base is rejecting the film. They're just rejecting it. And from Marvel's perspective, dude, this absolutely has to be a wake-up call. Like, it absolutely has to be a wake-up call. And it's so wild because I didn't actually even think it was going to be this bad. The vibe I got the week it released and the week after it released was that I was somewhat as in the minority as far as like very, very much not liking the film. And my take was, oh, there's a lot of people that like it. There's a lot of people that really like this. Good on you. Bob's your uncle. Maybe Marvel's not as on shaky ground as I thought. Maybe the fan base is okay with this, that, second, and the third. It's pretty undeniable, guys, that this is an L. I suppose we have to wait fully to understand how much of an L, but it's not good. I did really not think, I just didn't think that we'd be having this discussion 3 weeks out from release. I thought it was going to coast to 6, maybe even 7. Like, if it would have coasted to 6 or 7, probably the take would have been, okay, so I'm personally really frustrated with the quality, but the Marvel machine is just doing its thing. It's not the case, right? So, I think it's a incredible segue into talking about Jeff Loveness and talking about the future of Marvel, because this is the guy that's going to write the next Avengers movie. Okay? This is the guy that's going to write the next Avengers movie. And my take has been, and it continues to be, I actually don't think Loveness is the issue with the movie. And there's been a lot of discussions, a lot of people have been talking about, even since the release of the film, that Loveness should be taken off of it, that the Rick and Morty writers need to be taken off of it, all of these different things. So I would love to begin there. And I want to just go to the polls, and I want to ask you guys, do you think Loveness should be fired? Plain and simple. Do you think Loveness should be fired? For what? Like, is that a serious question? Fired for what? Oh, he stole too many donuts out of the break room, actually. I forgot to mention that, Frex. He stole too many donuts out of the break room. Okay? So, you know, starting phase 5 with the lowest Rotten Tomatoes score in all of the MCU, having the biggest second weekend drop-off in the history of Marvel. No big deal. But he stole the donuts from the break room. Did I forget to mention that? Now do you understand? Go woke, go broke. What the fuck? It must be so nice to see the world through that lens and just equate not woke to good. Like, that just must be so comforting. I get that the culture war is, like, really important to some of y'all. I just, especially when it comes to this movie, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what is woke about this movie, and how is anything that's woke in the movie a detriment to the movie? Like, the movie's goobly glob, dude. The movie's goobly glob. Oh, but if they wouldn't have had those wham in, it would have been great. Like, what? What are you talking about, dude? God. A bunch of bumper sticker thinking people, you know? Now, if only they cut out those whamming. So this is kind of shocking to me. 62% of you say yes, he should get fired. Damn, dude. Okay, and here's the thing, too. I actually feel... by the way, I'm not going to go hard on Loveness today. I'm not going to go hard on him. I want to read some of the things he said. I want to try to dissect it together and think about how we feel about it. But my take, man, my take is like, I really do not view him as the issue. My take is that it's the Marvel machine, and it's really the Disney machine. That's the issue. And, you know, man, you know what I'd love to hear, but we're not getting any of these kind of stories? You know what I'd love to hear? It's like a story that comes out and says, like, Kevin Feige actually wanted to push Ant-Man 3 back, but Bob Iger said no and took his lunch money away. Or, you know, Kevin Feige realized that Ant-Man was not even a fucking completed film and begged Bob Iger at the foot of his bed to allow him to release it, but Bob Iger slapped him and told him to go sleep on the cold bathroom floor or some shit like that. Like, that's what I'd like to hear. Because to me, as much as I am a massive Kevin Feige fan and a total simp for Kevin Feige, I think a lot of what is wrong with this movie is laid at the feet of Feige. It's the machine, it's the process, it's the conception of the movie in general. I think those are really the issues. I think Loveness did exactly what he was hired to do. I just think the movie is trying to do too much. The whole studio is trying to do too much. And it was just caught in this kind of unfortunate place of like, well, this is as best we can get it. Like, guys, they literally reshot the ending to the movie a month before its release. You know? And like, I'm no rocket scientist surgeon doctor guy. But I just don't think that's a recipe for success. You know, in my opinion, I mean, frankly, that's fucking ridiculous, dude. And it is ridiculous that we got the quality of movie that we got. And you're not doing yourself any favors as a studio trying to fight against fatigue when in some ways I strongly feel like you literally phoned it in for this movie. Didn't they do the same thing with Doctor Strange 2? Well, sort of, except that they delayed the movie, shot for 3 months, and edited a bunch of stuff. Like, I think Doctor Strange, and I think that, by the way, a lot of people that don't like Doctor Strange, you've got to, like, acknowledge that, I mean, Multiverse of Madness was a hit. It was $50 million away from $1 billion, and it's a Doctor Strange movie, you know? So, like, especially if this movie ends up not even making 5, Doctor Strange basically doubled that in gross. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't really make the argument that Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, is anywhere near as bad for the studio as Quantumania is. Like, that kind of feels like obvious. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's, I think that the facts speak for themselves. Now, you could say, and you could make the argument that maybe Multiverse of Madness and the way it rubs some people the wrong way has to then do with the way this movie performed. But again, I would argue you've got Love and Thunder, you've got She-Hulk, and then you've got Wakanda Forever. Wakanda Forever being the strongest of that whole bunch. But, like, that's a chunk of content all coming out from that studio. I would argue Love and Thunder and She-Hulk probably have more an effect on the fatigue or the audience's unwillingness to go to the theaters than Multiverse of Madness. You know what I mean? I think that's what it is. By the way, I have a big video coming out tomorrow talking about a lot of changes, like additional changes that FEIGE is doing to try to fix things, right? So one of these scoopers, The Watcher, he's been talking a lot about all of these different things. Some of this has to do with the Marvels. It's a bit leaky. It's a bit spoilery, so I'm going to save it for a video, which, again, will drop tomorrow. But there's some really good things we're hearing. There's also some real head-scratching things, man. Like, I'm not going to lie to you guys. There's some stuff that he's talking about, not only about the Marvels, but about Daredevil, and I'm like, dang, like, ooh, like, that's a little, concerning. But I think the macro point is that Feige and company, like, they're fully aware. They're fully aware of where things are at and how they're going to do this. I also personally feel here, guys, that, like, if there is a mistake in this whole situation with, like, Ant-Man and the Kang Dynasty, it's the idea that, like, maybe they shouldn't have announced Loveness as the writer before the movie came out. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe they shouldn't have said, like, hey, this is our guy before people reacted to the film. Because Feige, he plays really nice in front of the camera, but he is a little bit cutthroat behind the scenes. He didn't bring back the writers or directors of Captain Marvel. And that movie made $1 billion, but he was, like, savvy enough to know, okay, this actually didn't really work, so we need a different creative approach if we want to be more successful. It might not have even worked because the rumors about the Marvels are terrible, but it at least means, like he did a wise thing in that he was like, nah, like, we need to change this up if we want this franchise to go in a different direction and succeed, which is something he did with Ragnarok as well. Like, Thor 2 considered pretty bad, maybe one of the MCU's worst. And so he takes a pitch from more eccentric, exciting, sort of more colorful thinking people, and then you get Taika and Ragnarok, and it breathes fresh life into Thor. Ragnarok was fantastic. So yeah, it's a really tricky time right now, but we'll talk more about that in the video coming out tomorrow. Now, I want to talk about some of the stuff that Loveness has been saying. And he's been saying a lot, dude. It is so wild to me that this guy is doing the amount of interviews that he is doing. I do feel a little bit bad for him because he's even talked in the interviews. In the interviews. He's literally talked about how, like, the reviews got him down, you know, and I think it's, like, weird. I mean, he's being, like, a little bit vulnerable. It also feels a little bit, like, honestly, it feels a little desperate that he is doing these interviews. He's like, I've heard some people speculate that he might be doing this to try to protect his gig and protect his job. Yeah. Guys, before we even get into this shit, can I just get, like, your opinion on this? Like, why do you guys think that he's been doing all these interviews? Like, what's your take on why? Because, like, dude, it's crazy. It's like every day I feel like there's another article up there. Jeff Loveness is talking about this. Jeff Loveness said this and that. He was told to do them? I don't know about that shit. Defending himself, 100% damage control, self-image. Marvel doesn't just let their folks talk. Oh, I don't agree with that. There's stuff that he can't talk about, but I don't know that they restrict the press. He's coping because Marvel fans don't like being left in the dark. What? Who's Jeff Loveness? You don't say that. I'll tell you one more. Why is Jeff Loveness? And that's probably the actual question of the day. Okay, I gotta do a thing here, guys. Give me 1 second here. My computer just said, bro, you got too many videos on your gosh dang computer, and I'm about to explode, so I need to delete some stuff. Just give me a second here, okay? Just give me a gosh dang second here. Oh, you know what? This is actually a good time to bring this up, too. I have a Peter tingle. I've got a tingle in my Peter. Pause. I've got a feeling, and I don't even know where it's coming from, but I've got a feeling that some really big news might drop today. And it's nothing, nobody's told me. I've even reached out to some people because I was like, dude, I've got a feeling some crazy news is going to drop today. I have no idea what it could be. Like, I just have this feeling. So I want to throw that out there. I want to put it out there into the universe. Because my tingle's petering, for sure. Okay, so let's start with some really interesting answers that Jeff Loveness has given when talking about the rest of the MCU. Frankly, my interest here is more on what does this guy have planned for the Avengers movie. I'm of the mind personally where I'm like, okay, Quantumania, it is what it is. I don't necessarily condemn you for it, Jeff, but I fucking hate that movie, but we're just going to move on. We're just going to move on, and I think that it's weird, but I think Marvel fans kind of have the luxury of doing that as well. It's so sort of constant, and it's so comic booky, and it's so like, well, here's the next one, that I'm not going to get super down about one particular movie that I think is the worst fucking movie I've ever seen. Holy shit, it was absolute trash. I'm not going to get that upset about it. Instead, I want to focus on the future. Give me something to, like, sink my teeth into. Give me a reason to be excited about what you're going to do with the Avengers, what you're going to do with the future. Fix my sad feeling. Okay. Now, this is all coming from the Phase Zero podcast. Brandon Davis sat down with Jeff Loveness and did a big old interview, okay? So let's get into some of these things here. Jeff Loveness on the theory that Scott is in a different universe at the end of Quantumania. Do you guys know about this theory? We've talked about this theory, yeah? We've talked about this theory, right? You guys know. Unless you don't. Do you guys know about this? Hello? Chat, you know about this? Should I TLDR it? I'll TLDR it for the grandma that randomly had this pop up on her iPad and can't figure out how to take it off. So here's the deal, Grandma. At the end of Quantumania, you know, the ending that they shot a month before the release of the film, a lot of people speculate that Scott does not just return to his everyday life and instead is in some kind of a time loop or an alternate reality or some kind of simulation, because there are a few things that are weird about it. Number one, the guy at the coffee shop recognizes him, actually knows that he's not Spider-Man, and charges him for the coffee. There's also a weird piece of graffiti that's out on the wall while Scott is walking. He sees some weird stuff like the dog in the baby carriage. Who knows? Maybe just another quirky thing that they wanted to throw in there. There's also some interesting things where some of the people in the background that walk past Scott walk past him multiple times, and it almost seems like the scene wants to draw your attention to it. So a lot of people speculate that he may have been put into some kind of alternate reality, some kind of alternate thing. So here's what Loveness says. I think it's very interesting. I can't say much. It actually is not too far off from some possibilities, but I can't say anything. Well, I got to tell you, Jeff, you just said something, you know? Without saying anything, I feel like you said something. It's actually not too far off from some possibilities. Now, what's interesting about that is, like, if you dissect what we know about the Marvel process, they oftentimes have a ton of different ideas, and the sort of workflow of Marvel moving forward is not so much like, here's all the dots and how they connect. It's more like, here's a ton of dots, and we're kind of going to figure out how to connect them as we go. Now, of course, like in Phase 4 and in this film, it feels pretty whimsical, and you're like, ah, man, I don't know about that. But I would remind you that this has been the way Marvel has operated since Iron Man 1. They scrambled at Iron Man 1. The entire Infinity Saga was a lot of like having loose dots, loose connectivity that you then bring all together. James Gunn has actually clarified this and talked about it in a couple of different interviews. Like, one thing he said was, it's not as planned out as you might think over there at Marvel Studios. He also said that what he wants to do with the DCU will be way more planned out than even how Marvel operates. Okay? So I think when Jeff says it's actually not too far off from some possibilities, they essentially shot that ending in a way that it can be interpreted in multiple different ways. And I think the reality is, they have some interesting ideas and ways that they're going to maybe pull this all together. So it's technically possible that that's exactly what they're going to do, or something very close to that will be done with the end of the Ant-Man movie, which to me, like, it doesn't improve the film at all, but it's interesting. It is interesting, and I like the idea in the sort of macro story of Marvel that maybe Scott getting out of the quantum realm does not just put him right back into the real world with all the other characters as everything else is happening. That's really interesting, and so I kind of like it. It's an answer that's a non-answer. That's kind of an answer. You know what I mean? But let's keep going. Oh, and by the way, chat, help me out here, because if there's some other interesting stuff that Jeff has said in interviews, send it to me. Link it to me on Twitter. Link it to me on Discord, because I don't have all of it in front of me. And again, he's doing like 6 interviews a day, so there's probably a lot out there. Here is what Jeff Loveness said on if the Quantumania reviews will affect his script for the Kang Dynasty. Wow, great question here. So here he goes. It's been really charming and really heartwarming to see it find its audience. And the people who get it really get it. It's kind of fun to have a movie what people have strong opinions on. I had to get used to that. It's certainly a whack to the face, but I also feel like I've grown up a little bit. I'm alive. And it's like, I'm very excited to write the next one. And, you know, as a writer, it's a mix. You got to learn some stuff. You got to see what people are saying. But at the same time, you got to hold on and be like, no, I love MODOK. So it's a mix of both. It's not affecting the work right now, but we'll see if my badge has been locked out of Disney. We'll see if I can get into the building. See, and I think this is a little bit of the stuff that, like, people don't really like to hear. you know, at some level, it's charming and it's kind of funny that he's being this authentic. And I think the alternate, there are many ways that he could be reacting to this that I think would be far worse, right? Like, far worse. Like, he could basically come out, like, and to a degree, this is what Rian Johnson did, right? Where, like, Rian Johnson kind of came out and was like, oh, well, if you don't get it, you're like an idiot or perhaps like a bigot of sorts, right? And like, that's not a good look. You know, like that's never a good look. There's, you know, you could be really denigrating to the fans. He could be really stubborn, you know, about it. There's all sorts of ways that he could do this. In some ways, this is a little bit of like, you know, eating humble pie and holding the L a little bit, but it also rings a little bit of defensiveness and also, holy shit, he really does think that he might get fired. So, I mean, there is, though, a bit in here that's a little bit reassuring because he says, as a writer, it's a mix. You got to learn some stuff. You got to see what people are saying. But at the same time, you got to hold on and be like, no, I love MODOK. Now, bad example, because MODOK's fucking trash and body horror and absolutely horrible. But here's the thing. So let's really break this down, right? Here's the thing. That is what MODOK's supposed to be. So from Jeff's perspective, I totally get it. Because that is what MODOK is, a big, goofy head, crazy murder bot thing. And you don't need the murder bot, crazy head looking guy to be a serious character. And this is why I really cannot lay all the blame at Jeff's feet, because the problem is not MODOK. The problem is having MODOK in a movie that is supposed to set up the gravitas of Kang. It's supposed to set up Kang as this massive, incredible threat, and it's undercut, in my opinion, by a lot of the ridiculousness in the film, including MODOK. The first scene that you get to see Kang having a conversation with Ant-Man is undercut by body horror, creepy little, you know, skinny little chicken wing butt looking weird motherfucker over in the corner. It's horrible. But it's not necessarily Jeff's fault that Marvel is like, oh, and we're going to do MODOK. By the way, you want to get real talk on? Oh, I'm starting to get fired up. Hang on. Let me sip coffee and calm down. I've had the level of caffeine this morning that is making me feel cracked out. So this might get a little wild here. Okay, we might get a little wild on stream. But let me tell you. You want a little real talk? There's a version of this movie that barely had Kang in it. And it was all MODOK, essentially. There was a version of this film in which there was barely going to be any Kang. Similar to in Guardians, how there's barely any Thanos, and you've got Ronan kind of carrying the weight of the antagonist in the film. There was a version of this movie that had so much goddamn MODOK that I probably would have walked out of the movie. Okay? And in reshoots, they added a lot more Kang. So we already have a version of the movie that was adjusted to try to give the people a little bit more Kang and a little less MODOK. Right? So I don't know, dude. It's such a tricky thing to wrap your head around. Again, I really don't think it's necessarily Jeff's fault. I like what he's saying as far as like, you've got to learn some stuff, but at the same time, you got to hold on and be like, no, I love MODOK. And I think that's appropriate. Like, love the things you love and feel confident about your writing, but you also got to read the room a little bit. And so there's like hidden within this answer is perhaps a little bit of hope that he will learn. And again, dude, guys, it's not even his fault. Like, he was given the toy bin by Kevin Feige, and it just is what it is. Like, that's what he had to work with. I think just bad ideas are what ended up making a bad film. So, let's move on, though. Jeff Loveness on if the Fantastic Four and X-Men are in Kang Dynasty. So here's what he says. I know they're making Fantastic Four, but that's its own thing. I mean, look, I'm the biggest X-Men guy in the world. No, I think that's being saved for a bit, but these Avengers are in trouble. They got a lot going on with Kang. They got more than enough to handle. Really interesting there. Doesn't really talk specifically about the Fantastic Four. He just sort of acknowledges that they are making that, okay? He's also talking about Avengers and X-Men, and it's really interesting the way that he takes the question, because I can almost see him saying that the Avengers can't really mess with Kang and the X-Men. He's already presupposing that the X-Men and the Avengers are going to be somewhat at odds, which I think is par for the course, and if you're a big comic person, yeah, you understand that. But why aren't the X-Men, like, helping the Avengers out? You know what I mean? Like, I think that's more of the question on the multiversal level. And look, Jeff can't acknowledge any of the like established rumors and the things that are out there. As far as we understand it, it's that this movie is going to focus on the Earthbound Avengers, different Kang variants, and then you will actually get a lot of X-Men in Secret Wars, but it's going to be the Fox X-Men. It's going to be like, you know, Hugh Jackman Wolverine, Patrick Stewart, Sir Ian as Magneto, etc., etc. They'll be in there. But yeah, it's weird. He doesn't like outright say the Fantastic Four will not be involved in the Kang Dynasty. And I think that's good, because a lot of people misinterpreted this answer. I saw a lot of headlines that were like, Loveness confirms no Fantastic Four or X-Men in Avengers Kang Dynasty. And I don't know. I want to just ask you guys, do you think the Fantastic Four will be involved in the Kang Dynasty? Do you think that the Fantastic Four will be more involved in maybe Secret Wars? So a lot of guys don't. That's interesting. I mean, sure, it could be a convoluted thing to bring them all in. Could be. Just read the Fantastic. Yeah, so there's another... Dude, there's another really weird story. We'll get into this later, but there was a weird report about how crazy Feige is being with the casting of the Fantastic Four. Man. Can I say something that's like a little bit out of pocket and a little bit adult? Can we earmuff the kids? Just earmuff the kids. You know, Grandma, you might want to turn the volume down for just a second. Like, I want to say something, but it's a little inappropriate. Okay, so earmuff it. I hope Kevin Feige has access to incredible marijuana, because the amount of stress and the amount of fucking maybe cognitive dissonance and just craziness going on right now with everything that's unfolding and happening at Marvel Studios, I hope that he, at the very least, at the end of these bizarro whirlwind days, can take some incredible blinkers and just shut the brain off. Because, dude, if he doesn't, he's heading towards a mental breakdown. Like, he is headed to a mental breakdown unless he's on that Pine Park. Like, okay, you take that. You could take that. Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're good. Let's keep going here. Okay, Jeff Loveness on the protagonist of Kang Dynasty. That's at least how I'm trying to write him. And, you know, we'll see how the structure changes and how the work flows. But, like, he's got to be his own hero. And especially Kang the Conqueror and Ant-Man thought he was. Or maybe he wouldn't use the word hero, but he's on a crusade and he's doing it for a reason. So secretly, it is a Kang movie. But of course, you have to keep the forward gas going with the Avengers. But yeah, in the back of my mind, it's a Kang movie. And this is fascinating. This is fascinating. This is fascinating because, number one, we've heard that there actually may be a Kang variant, a la He Who Remains, that's actually a hero. You could even have Iron Lad be a hero, perhaps. And so the Kang Dynasty might actually have Kang as a hero. But the other thing that he's saying, and I think he's really referring to the Kang that he seemingly kills in this movie, that Kang the Conqueror thinks of himself as a hero. He's on a crusade doing it for the right reasons. And it's really interesting because we've also just recently heard a rumor, and I did a big video on this, that Doctor Strange might actually be the villain. That, you know, in Multiverse of Madness, when Reed Richards says, you know, according to our research, the most dangerous threat to the multiverse is Stephen Strange. And so it's so crazy. Like, we might get to a point where Doctor Strange might actually be considered the villain, and Doctor Strange tinkering might be the thing that's actually setting up the incursions. It reminds me of something that happened in the Time Runs Out lead up to Secret Wars, where, like, you know, for a long time in that run, you're just like, oh shit, the incursions are happening. This is bananas. This is really, really bad. And then you learn way later on that it was actually Doctor Doom that pushed the first domino over. Doctor Doom actually realizes that the Molecule Man is a bomb designed to blow up the multiverse. He attempts to stop that and causes the first incursion. So I don't know, guys. Like, that's kind of interesting. Kang as potentially the hero. And look, there's two things that I think about this. Number one, I was like, oh, that's really cool and that's really, really intriguing. But there's this expression in gaming, especially in strategy games like Magic the Gathering, where you might try to do something that's what they call too cute. You ever heard of this? So it's like, you've got a combo in your deck, and it's like, wow, dude, if this combo is so cool, it's so unique, oh, it's so interesting. But maybe it's too cute. Meaning, man, that's just not really going to work. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get there. It's going to be easy to thwart. And yeah, it's a cool idea, but it's a little too cute. And when it comes to the multiverse, I'm really starting, and I really wonder what you guys think about this, but I'm really starting to get nervous that basically a lot of the macro ideas that they think are just going to blow people away are a little too cute, dude. Like, and this might be one of them. Like, trying to wrap your head around Kang being the villain, but also the hero. But also, there's a million versions of him, and he's infinite, but also singular, and all this stuff. Dude, it might just be a little too cute. In fact, let's go. Can we go? Let's go to the polls. Let's go to the polls on this. Basic question here. Do you think the multiverse is too weird for normies? You think it's just too weird, dude? Because there's, look. There's gold in them hills. There's gold in them hills. Like, the multiverse is ripe with interesting possibilities. Very cool concepts. Things you can do that really excite, I think, particularly fans that have been reading comics for a long, long time or watching movies for like decades. Right? But if you can't just tap into like the base level shit in a way that makes sense to normies or casual audiences, how are they going to accept some of this other stuff, dude? You know? Like, and I think that, by the way, would be the biggest L they could possibly do. Is if they make all this stuff and they keep trying to just amp up the multiverse, and it gets to a point where audiences are like, I'm fucking sick of the multiverse. I'm sick of variants. I'm sick of all this weird shit. Just tell me a dope story with cool characters, a lot of smashy smash. Let's get back to that. Oh man, that would be the ultimate fail because that is literally all that Secret Wars is. Like, Secret Wars is that times infinity. So, like, if they can't get people on board with these ideas and concepts, holy shit, we are headed towards something that I think a lot of us will actually think is, like, dope as hell, but just might not be embraced by wider audiences and more normie, casual fans as, like, the Infinity Saga was, did. You know what I mean? And it's weird. Like, 60% of you guys say yes. That in and of itself, I think, is a little bit concerning, you know? So, I don't know, man. It's, it's quite interesting, okay? It's quite interesting. Now, let's read some other stuff that Loveness has been saying here. What the buttholes? Get this off my screen. So let's get into some of the things he says here, okay? But what is the Kang story really about? What is the Kang story really about? When it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a great villain not only terrorizes the heroes, but interrogates the world around them. And in the MCU, there's even more weight on the shoulders of a guy like Kang. He can't just carry one movie. He needs to prop up an entire saga worth of storytelling. To give him the heft, he's going into Quantumania. Loveness considered Kang's arc like that of a true conqueror, someone who does not accept the civilization or world or the life that they have. History is full of them. The thought experiment led him to frame the villain's role in the MCU as high-stakes question. Are you willing to accept the broken world that is yours and you have a life in, or are you brave enough to burn it down and make something better? For Loveness, it was the opposite energy of what Thanos brought to the table and exactly what the MCU needed. Thanos comes in kind of like a hammer. He's single-minded. He's got one mission. It's pretty straightforward, Loveness says. I really wanted to introduce Kang, the Conqueror, almost at the end of his story. There's a history with this guy. I have Lord of the Rings or Star Wars because I love Lord of the Rings or Star Wars because they drop you into mythology that is way older than where the story is starting. They name drop Morgoth. They are fighting Morgoth's intern the entire trilogy. Darth Vader, I guess he has a history with the old guy. It's so great. And I thought it would be awesome to meet Kang the Conqueror after his great defeat. Loveness says a particular line in Quantumania gets to the heart of the character. When you can see time the way I do, you don't get to close your eyes. He thinks of Kang as somebody burdened with his crusade. And on top of it all, a very non-linear guy. The idea of bouncing around time and space drew Loveness and the Marvel team towards a moment of defeat rather than beginning of a rampage, where the writer could relate to Kang like Napoleon Bonaparte. I think more about his defeat at Waterloo or his exile or his failure in Russia more than I think about his military campaigns across Italy. I think about what happens in the scope of defeat and how you can harmonize that character and give him a revenge arc. Unlike Thanos, Kang does not want to balance out the universe. He wants to flatten it to make way for something completely new. He's the great Gatsby of the multiverse, Loveness says with a chuckle, and I'll leave it there. What the fuck does that mean? Loveness says the original script for Quantumania had even more backstory for Kang, but like all movies that find their shape over the course of development, certain beats and reveals were sanded down. Much of that will find its way into Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, but Quantumania leaves fans with a taste of the many Kangs seen in post-credit scenes, and what that ultimately needs for Kang in the new movie. I just love the setup of he's not a liar, Loveness points out. If you go back and watch the movie and listen to what he's saying, we're in a lot of trouble because he was the only thing that can stop these guys. That leaves the Avengers with a massive problem for the future in terms of all the Kangs they need to face. Loveness could not be more excited. I wish Hawkeye a lot of luck. I'm sure Daredevil and Moon Knight are going to be great against those guys. I mean, that's kind of funny, right? But it's a little cheeky, but yeah, it's probably true. Like, all of these guys, like, what are they going to do against Kang? It's kind of wild. But interesting to hear about, the motivations, the ideas that they had. I think there should have been even more backstory and development for Kang in the film. I suppose I understand why they pulled it out of there. And look, according to a lot of the rumors and the things that we've heard, just like in Infinity War, when you really get a sense for Thanos' mission, his motivations, and what's driving him, the Kang Dynasty is said to do that as well. And it's said to really explain where Kang is at and how he got to where he got, right? But like, bro, there's so much that's confusing here. Like, he's talking about Kang like he's a singular entity. And he's like basically saying that Kang will be back, that it's all about the Kang that we see defeated in the movie. And like, I just don't know, man. Like, that feels so weird to me. Why are you killing a guy in the film, but then referring to him and so here's the thing, right? He's saying that they're in a lot of trouble because he was the only guy that could stop them. So then it's all these other Kangs and now they're all taking it over. But he's not the guy that had the backstory. He's not the guy that was the conqueror. He's not that guy at all. So what are we doing here? Are we talking about the guy that's actually going to be the villain? Are we talking about Prime Kang and how that's going to be the relevant character for the Kang Dynasty? Or does none of that matter because now he's out of the picture and it's all these other Kangs who might not have the same experiences. They damn sure don't have the same motivations. It's so confusing. Holy shit, dude. I mean, I don't know, man. They might have fucked up. That, like, point blank, they might have fucked up with Kang. Like, already. Full stop. Like, I don't see how we get to the things we need for the villain with what they have currently done, setting the table for said villain. Like, it's a mind pretzel. It's a mind pretzel, dude. Like, what are we even talking about here? Which, like, even this thing, the more you think about his comments here, the less they make sense. Like, let me read it to you. Okay, so here we go. I'm fucking struggling with this. I'm struggling with this. Okay, here we go. I just love the setup of he's not a liar. If you go back and watch the movie and listen to what he's saying, we're in a lot of trouble because he was the only thing that could stop these guys. So they're the threat. Also, Loveness says a particular line in Quantumania gets the heart of the character. When you see time the way I do, you don't get to close your eyes. He thinks of Kang as someone burdened with his crusade. Very non-linear guy. The idea of bouncing around time drew him to the moment of defeat rather than the beginning of a rampage. Okay. So he's the Gatsby. He's Napoleon. He's also dead. Like, he's gone. Like, you guys killed him in the movie. And so why does any of that matter? I'm so confused by this. Like, and I just think that, like, again, maybe that phrase, like, too cute. Well, like, of course he's not dead. But how, like, why are you going to then put that into the film and then have us all, like, talk around and walk around the idea that we all know is the way that it's going to be? It's so weird. It's so weird. Of course he's not dead. But they presented a narrative in which he was defeated and seemingly killed. That's what they presented. Which also is a change to the original ending. I don't know, bro. What else is this dude saying? What else is this guy saying? Anybody got a link for me to some other stuff? Anybody got a link? Is there anything else that this guy's talking about? Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Oh no. I think we might just I think there's some bad news. What the fuck? Why can't I open this article? Apparently an error occurred while loading this image. What is happening here? What is going on here? What? Okay, there must be something weird going on Twitter right now, because I can't pull up this article, but apparently there's discussion that the Anzellans that we meet in the first episode of Mando none of them are Babu. And I wasn't ready to have this bad of news today. So apparently their names are Zabu, Vabu, and Tabu. What? You know what this means? Do you know what this means, guys? You know what this means? This means they're going to retcon the sequels. That's what it means. 100% confirmed they're going to retcon the sequels. That everybody that thought that's the way it was going down. And I was like, no, like, dude, they'd never do that. Oh, no. No. Dude, they're doing it. They're doing it. I can't believe it. Because if they weren't going to do it, then why the heck don't you just have that be Babu? The greatest character from the sequels. The greatest character from the sequels. It's obvious, and I can't believe it. They're going to wreck on the sequels. I can't believe it. The ball's on these guys. Crazy. I can't believe it. Okay, so anyways, going back to the Loveness stuff, man. I don't know if we have any other comments made by him. Actually, I did think there was one. Oh, no. Maybe I already talked about that. I thought there was one other thing that I wanted to touch on here. Here's, at the end of the day, like, what it is with Loveness and what my concern is with just the entirety of the Multiverse saga. I feel like this movie, Kang Dynasty, was very important to getting people to, like, understand and accept Kang, the Multiverse. And I think, by and large, it's been rejected by a lot of the normies and the mainstay audiences. And I think the thing that's really weird is this idea, the very concept of Kang, especially when combined with the studio just not being able to have actual full-ass quality control of everything. And, like, you combine a little bit of sloppiness with really weird ideas and concepts, that's a recipe for disaster. And so I'm pretty concerned that the multiverse and Kang as a concept may just not be, like, doing it for a lot of folks. And his name is in the next Avengers movie, dude. Like, I hope I'm wrong. You know, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that they're able to execute it in such a way that makes sense and that can bring a lot of people on board. But I think that they've done a really weird thing where they've somehow barely dipped their toe into the real juice of the multiverse and at the same time kind of made people sick of the multiverse shit. Like, Oh no. And the real test, guys, is how they're going to handle the next couple of years. Like, how are they going to handle the next couple of years getting into the Kang Dynasty, getting into Secret Wars? Wow, wee, wow. I did not anticipate. I mean, like, dude, like, I didn't imagine that we'd be here, you know? I didn't. Now, here's the flip side, and let's try to get a little bit of positivity into this, okay? Let me just try to summon it in. You know what I mean? Let's get the copium. Let's just... I want everybody to take a nice big sip of copium. You know, let's breathe it in. Here's what it is. A lot of this weight now falls to Loki season 2. A lot of the future of how Marvel and Marvel fans are going to either accept or reject the ideas they're putting forward now falls to Loki season 2. If Loki season 2 is goobly glob, we might be fucked with a capital F. Until at least like Secret Wars, like, here's the thing. Worst case scenario. The macro story of this saga is not that cool. The concepts are too weird. There's not enough of a through line to really get us engaged in the overall story. But you're still going to get some bangers. You'll still have a lot of fun in the next 2 Avengers movies. But we will exit Secret Wars saying, that was really fun, but I really hope Marvel does better in the future. Because kind of regardless, like, and in some kind of weird, brilliant way, they've sort of hedged their bets because Doctor Doom and the mutants are not really even coming into the MCU until after Secret Wars. So I think regardless, like, even if you were a fan that just like fucking took the next 5 years off, when mutants and Doctor Doom come back in, you're gonna come back. Like, period. You're gonna come back. So that's the worst case scenario, which is also a place that I think most studios would love to be in. Like, Marvel's basically at a place where they could kind of screw up and coast to billions of dollars and not real brand destruction, even if they really screw this up. You know what I mean? But I, like many of you, are like really desperate to get back to like winning and doing, like, because Marvel, you know, Marvel in its lead up to the Infinity War Endgame stuff was not just good, it was great. It was unbelievable. It was absolutely phenomenal. And I think that a lot of the fans like really want to be there and really want to live there and to get back to that place. And they are signaling a lot of changes. They're trying to do a lot of things. And I think quality will help. And again, I have a big video coming about this tomorrow. There's some stuff in that video that'll make you like cheer and be like, hell yeah, they got it figured out. There's some stuff in the video that's going to make you raise an eyebrow. And you're going to be like, dude, what? 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 Like, there's some stuff like that. At the end of the day, like, we're like, this is a weird spot. Like, Marvel is undeniably in a weird spot. And I hope that they're able to kind of, you know, figure this stuff out and get us into much better content, much better fun stuff. Okay. So, yeah. I like your optimism. It's borderline toxic. I don't know what that means. Okay. You want to talk about something more positive, though? Want to talk about something that's a little more cool? and we'll get into Q&A. I've jumped off. I'm sorry. No, it's all good. It's all good. Look, it's literally gotten to a point where, like, bro, like, we can't even front and be like, oh, bro, you're just hating. Or like, oh, no, man, like, you're out of pocket. Like, no, like, it kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of makes sense where some people are at. So here's a really interesting thing. Mark Ruffalo chats about the original Avengers Infinity War ending at ECC. And, oh, man, is this cool. It's been more than a decade since he took on the role of Bruce Banner in the MCU, but when he showed up for the Mean and Green Mark Ruffalo spotlight at Emerald City Comic Con, Mark Ruffalo proved himself. Oh, I don't even have this shit pulled up for y'all. Hang on. Mark Ruffalo proved himself as irresponsible and incredible as any Hulk could possibly be, especially when it comes to maybe, possibly, revealing something he really shouldn't. It's been an amazing fun and really challenging and always surprising, even to the point where we were shooting Avengers Infinity War and Hulk was supposed to come busting out of the Hulkbuster at the end, and we shot that. We shot it 4 times and it wasn't working. And we realized, well, the Russos realized that we couldn't have Hulk save the day again, and we had to have Banner lose. Ruffalo revealed on the main stage at Emerald City Comic Con 2023. That was kind of the thing where it was in the script one way for 2 years. And then when we came to shoot it, we decided it would be better if Hulk didn't show up. And Banner had to try and make friends with him to get him to show up. So again, they're speaking to the process of Marvel and their ability to like constantly change things. And I don't want to like present this idea that the Marvel system doesn't work. It obviously works, but I do think that some of the things that are going on in the current MCU are just a little bit different. Mostly just way too many projects. Mostly way too many projects. The inability to like really have a focus, I think, is kind of hurting them. But it's interesting that even he's talking about this, right? Like for 2 years, it was in the script. There were Lego sets of like Hulk busting out. They even had a shot in a trailer of Hulk at the end of the movie running with all the Avengers and stuff like that, right? Also, you guys like can't even see. Can you see this? I need to like blow this up for y'all. Is that a little bit better? Okay. So here he says, that decision didn't come easily, however, or quickly. We shot that scene like 5 times over the course of the year. Me, by myself, and the Hulkbuster, Ruffalo continued, with the script continually undergoing reworking as everyone involved tried to make the scene work. That's been one of the differences with any other movie you shoot, is that we're always kind of finding it as we go along. You have so many people, so many storylines that you're trying to interweave together. And marvelously, beautifully, what Marvel is really looking for is what's going to have the greatest impact for you guys. And that is true, and that continues to speak to the process. You still can't read shit? Well, maybe you should have stayed in school. The plus of working on a Marvel movie, Ruffalo said, is how alive they are and how much the actors bring to it. Before we shoot any of these movies, we're always sitting down with Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige, and he's like, what do you guys want to do this next round? Where would you like to go? What would you like to see happen? I think that keeps things lively and interesting for you, and lively and interesting for us, which is what makes good cinema, I think. It's also fantastic cinema. A point emphasized when a fan asked Ruffalo how it felt to lose Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. from the MCU family in Avengers Endgame. And this is really interesting here. He says, sad, but there is a time machine, and there are alternate universe and realities. So anything could happen, he said, laughing, which led to the fan asking the obvious follow-up. Does that mean we might see Steve Rogers and Iron Man again in the MCU? Ruffalo looked to the ceiling in mock horror. Man, are you trying to get me in trouble again, he asked. I'm not going to say it's not possible, but I'm not going to say that it is. Confirmed! Mark Ruffalo confirms Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans returning to the MCU, and thank fucking God, because we really need them. So like I said, there you go. There you go, guys. Some exciting stuff. You know, some good stuff. Some stuff that'll make you feel good. on the inside. Yeah. Old news. I know, right? Isn't that weird? But I do think, just to sort of speak on that a little bit more, I predict that when we roll around to Secret Wars, I predict that we're going to be in a similar situation to where we were with No Way Home. Meaning everybody's going to know that Robert's back. Okay? Everybody's going to know that. But Marvel's not going to talk about it. All the actors are going to deny it. And the thing that I found so interesting about No Way Home was, I was really confident that they were going to be in the movie. But as I'm sitting there in the theater before the movie rolls, there's that thought, what if they're not? What if this has all just been a big, crazy conspiracy? What if I'm going to have to shave my head on stream tomorrow? Even though I had seen 8K video, even though people had sent me imaging, even though I talked to a ton of people and they were like, yeah, they're in it. There was that feeling, when you're sitting in the theater and you're like, dude, what if, right? And it was actually kind of fun. And I think that's probably what they're going to replicate with, Campia will leak it. Yeah, Campia will leak it with his logo on Robert Downey Jr.'s crotch, probably. So I think they're going to replicate that. And it's going to be like that worst kept secret kind of thing, but we're all going to be like, oh, but maybe not. And then there'll still be people I remember we would do a ton of videos leading up to No Way Home. And a lot of people in the comments would be like, that's because they're not in it, bro. You guys are all about to look so stupid. You guys are all so dumb, dude. They're not. He said he's not in it, bro. He said he's not in it, bro. So we'll get into some of that for sure. Guys, I'm filled with so much chaotic energy. Today. And you know what it is? It's God damn it. God damn it. It feels like put yourself in my position. Okay? And you've got to try to navigate the sort of choppy waters of where we are currently at. Kind of undeniable that things are not going well. And yet, I love Marvel. I want Marvel to improve. I love Star Wars, and I want Star Wars to improve. And I think Mandalorian is awesome. I also feel a little bit, not like a lot, and we're going to have to wait to see, how the numbers actually roll out. I feel like Mando did actually underperform a little bit on its premiere. I wonder if any of you feel that way or not. Just in the social media buzz and the discussion and how many people are watching it. I loved it, dude. And it's almost one of those things where it's I loved it so much that I almost don't care. But I also kind of have to acknowledge that it kind of feels like it has underperformed a little bit in its opening week. And it is heartbreaking in some ways to literally we run a channel and we make content about nerdy stuff. That's what we do. We make content that's ancillary to go into the movies. And we did to experience our love for these things and the in-depth conversations, the speculation, the theories, the leaks, the rumors. We're really engaged in all of this sort of stuff. And it feels very weird to be at a time when, frankly, Disney is fucking up, dude. Like, they really are. And they need to change things, fix things, and it's just a weird time. It's a weird time to be, you know, doing what I do and like trying to remain positive, but also trying to be realistic about, you know, where we're at, you know? So like I appreciate you guys. And I'm really grateful for the community and for the discussions and the fun. And I try to do the best job I can at, you know, the sky's not falling. Like, I don't think the sky is falling, but I also don't want to just, you know, be fake about it and be like, no, everything's chill, because it's not. So I find myself at a somewhat of a crossroads. You know, how long is the anime trend gonna last though? So man, like, it's tough. I love anime, and I've been having a lot of fun with anime. I had a horrible experience watching the new Demon Slayer movie. I thought it was horrible, dude. But the problem with the anime, and some people have been asking about the anime channel and stuff, is like the problem is I feel a little self-conscious about doing the anime channel because I'm not a hardcore anime guy. I don't know how much actual value I can bring to the anime fans or to the anime community. When it comes to Marvel, when it comes to DC and Star Wars, I've been literally like living this shit for like 20 plus years, you know, hardcore. And so I'm able to like talk about the news, digest it through the lens of a comic book fan, digest it through the lens of somebody that understands film and all these different things. When it comes to anime, I just don't know if I feel that way. You know, so I'm a little like hesitant to like even do the anime channel because I'm like, dude, but like I don't necessarily like have that value. You know what I mean? To be able to do it. But just at a base level, I see trends and I see a lot of evidence to suggest that anime and manga are really satisfying and fulfilling fans in a way that a lot of Western media is just not. You know what I mean? So it's like, ooh, like, it's a tough one, dude. You know, it's a tough one. I think we're still going to have a great year. Like, I still think that Star Wars has a couple of bangers in the barrel. I think Marvel has a couple bangers in the barrel, or at least hopefully Loki season 2 just absolutely slaps. So we should have a good year. I'm much more positive on the Marvel content coming out in 2024, frankly, than I am this year. So we just gotta make it through this year. I feel like, you know what I mean? I feel like we just gotta kind of make it through this year. Hopefully we see some evidence of a turnaround and a shift over there, and we get into some really good stuff next year. Red Hulk, baby. Okay. I know everybody's talking about Attack on Titan. So I've only watched like the first season of Attack on Titan, but like my buddy that's really into anime, he explains like the whole thing to me. It seems so crazy. It went from being just about like fighting off the Titans to like it's basically Evangelion now, with like Eren and the like, not to spoil anything, but like the time travel stuff, like the God Titan stuff. It sounds absolutely bananas, like bananas. But yeah, I'm not like in that one, you know what I mean? So, but it sounds really cool. Like, I can't deny it. I'm like, damn, that sounds dope as hell. Like the direction and whatnot that they're taking it all in. It's crazy, huh? Okay, guys, let's get into the Q&A. Okay, let's get into the Q&A. And then, oh yeah, I saw that, Chase. Thank you for sending me that. I saw that too. Yeah, Twitter's broken AF right now, by the way, which is why I couldn't like pull up that one article I was trying to pull up. But let's get into Q&A. Then we'll give away some $200 GameStop gift cards, baby. Then we'll give away some GameStop gift cards, baby. Okay, so let me pull this over here. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum. Starting to get hot in here, too. Okay, let's... Oh, okay, yeah. So first in today, I think it says Frog Eater is the name. It's a little bit obscured for me. Says, I blame Peyton Reed more than Loveness for Ant-Man 3. Yo, you know what's wild? Where is Peyton Reed? Why is Jeff Loveness doing an interview a day and Peyton Reed's not saying shit? I mean, I kind of tend to agree, man. I think it's a little bit more on Peyton Reed. You know, unfortunately, it's really more on Feige. Vito says, blink twice if you loved the latest episode of The Last of Us. I don't really watch The Last of Us, bro. I know a lot of people love it, though. I know a lot of people are hyped up on it. I'm glad people are enjoying the show, but it's just not my thing, bro. Noah says, with Marvel pushing less content than they were before Disney Plus shows, why is it that we're still getting poor content such as Ant-Man and Thor? Well, I think, frankly, because a lot of that stuff was produced right alongside like a million other things. At one time, in Phase 4, Marvel had 31 projects in development. I would try to cut that down a bit, you know? And it's just like, it's impossible. It's impossible that they have that many things in production and they're going to be able to keep it all to the quality that they need. Like, it just doesn't feel like that's possible. So, you know, Thor, for instance, was shot during the pandy. Apparently the set was an absolute disaster. Taika was a completely irresponsible child that shot a 4-hour movie that barely made any fucking sense. So then they cut it all down. They used the Korg narrative device to try to make it into somewhat of a film. And instead of just scrapping it or reshooting the whole thing, they basically said, well, we're going to take this that you shot and try to at least make it into something that resembles a narratively driven film. And I feel a little bit like the same with Quantumania. I guess what I don't understand is, like, look, here's where some of this comes from. They are confident that they'll be able to fix it. So I almost feel like sometimes in the dailies or when they're shooting and they're on set, they know that there's some bullshit. And there's always some bullshit. Like, every movie's going to have a bad day, a bad week, a bad scene, you know, whatever. But Marvel's attitude is always like, nah, but we'll fix it. Nah, but we'll fix it. Nah, but we'll fix it. And then I feel like they stretch that to the absolute limit. And, you know, it's kind of interesting. You know, again, James Gunn kind of said this, where he's like, I've seen them take bad movies and turn them into okay movies. I've seen them take okay movies and turn them into good movies. I've seen them take good movies and turn them into great movies. And so, like, they're doing their thing. I just think there's a lot of reasons as to why, like, on set, as they are doing this, it is not as good. Maybe they need better scripts. Maybe they need better concepts. I'm not 100% sure. Frog Eater says Daredevil Born Again begins filming today in New York City. And I'm excited about Daredevil Born Again. I think it's going to be great. And I really like the strategy of, like, the 6-episode pods. Again, big video coming out about that tomorrow. We're just going to break down some of the interesting stuff with Daredevil. But the TLDR is they might do, like, 6 episodes, take, like, even a couple of months off, and then do another 6 episodes, take a couple of months off, and then do another 6 episodes. It seems like that might be something they do. So that could be cool. John Shaw says, absolute domination, not one hit, sub in 2 minutes. Yeah, I think it was 3 minutes actually there, John Shaw. But yeah, no doubt about it. It was domination. XA says, at least you didn't bet your hair. True. True. Matthew K says, long time no see, Josh and Nerd Ventures. Life is getting great. Hot take. Mando 3 Up 1 had poor production, meandering plot, and pointless dialogue. No idea why the internet loves it. Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second. And you know what? Let me just ask you guys a question. And by the way, Ginger Snowman, what an interesting name, and welcome to the Nerd Ventures. You are a Nerd Venture now. Guys, has your opinion changed on Mando Season 3 Episode 1 since you watched it? Has your opinion changed? Like, do any of you guys agree with that? What a terrible take. No. A couple of yeses in there. It was good. No, yes. Still loved it. No, because the internet doesn't decide my opinion. Jeez, Jake, you don't gotta yell at me. Happy Meal. How dare you bring up the Happy Meal shit? Okay, now here's my take on this, and this might actually surprise you guys a little bit. The more I thought about the first episode of The Mandalorian, it has actually dropped a little bit for me. But I think the reason people like it is because it is like so comforting to know that it's essentially the same show. After 2+ years away, and after having to stomach Boba, Kenobi, and Andor, for me personally, it was so damn reassuring to feel like it's the same show. Like, I was literally like, oh, thank God. It still has all the magic. It still has all the stuff I like. Let's go. Is it meandering? A little bit. Is it a super tight episode? It's not as good as the first episode of season 2. Like, at all. But it's so effective on bringing us back and making us feel like, you know, all the things are there. So to me, it's still an 8, right? It's not an 8.5. It's not a 9. It's a strong 8. But I do understand what Matthew is saying, and I think I don't know. I'll be really interested to see the numbers for the show. Can I ask you guys another question? Is it okay if I ask you another question? Get a little more interactive. What will you think if it comes out that the show is getting less viewership than season 2? Like, what would you guys say? I know everybody's like, no, don't ask a question. Shut up and dribble. Listen, what are you guys going to say and or think if it comes out that Mando season 3 is getting less views than Mando season 2? I don't care. I am not surprised. I'll blame Ambor. I would say it's because of marketing. I don't give a fuck. Those people are missing out. Gina fans coping. Maybe. Nerdy IP is on the decline due to subpar content in the last 4 years. Ooh. You know how we do. Blame KK. Nice, dude. Does viewership ever go up? Yeah, for sure. I think if a show is doing the right things, viewership should go up. And especially because of the way that Nielsen does its numbers, okay? So, like shows like Stranger Things, for instance. When Nielsen calculates the numbers for Stranger Things, what usually happens is you're getting a lot of folks that are going to go back and watch old Stranger Things. So they go back to watch old Stranger Things to sort of re-engage with the content, to get ready for the new stuff, and then they watch the new stuff. And so therefore, the numbers and the viewership and everything should essentially always be going up, according to Nielsen, for a show that's rewatchable. And like, you know, you don't have to necessarily like make this your personal North Star for like enjoyment or anything like that, but it is the industry standard for how a show is performing. And I think, you know, when you think about word of mouth, and I wonder what you guys think about this, but it's like, if like one of the reasons that Quantumania is not doing so well is because of the RT score and because of poor word of mouth. Some people, guys, it literally just comes down to that one person at work that always goes to see the movies, and they ask the person about it, and that conversation is a huge indicating factor as to whether or not they will go see the movie. There's like 3 versions of this. There's the version of like, it was absolute trash, don't go see it, which might actually even be better than the second version, which is like, it's whatever, right? I almost feel like it's whatever is worse than a really shitty movie. Because a really shitty movie could compel people to see for themselves if it's really shitty. There's like this curiosity factor. So, you know, it's either like, oh, it's really shitty, it's whatever, or you gotta go see it. You gotta go see it. And for a long, long time, Marvel lived and breathed on you gotta go see it. You know, like it used to be a thing where it's like, oh, you've got to, how are you going to not see the next Marvel movie? Like, what? Who are you? What kind of person are you? Do you know what I mean? And so I think we can all understand that that affects the movie. It's the same thing with the show, dude. It's the same thing with the show. And Mando is their biggest hit. It's like so important and so big for Disney. And I personally think that if we find out that the viewership numbers are lower or trending down or not capturing the zeitgeist in the way that they did before, whoo! Whoo! Shit. Okay, anyways, Matthew, thanks for sending us on that spiraling Anyway. Okay, XA says, got Galactus in the Flavorino variant and pinned Null. Dude, that's sick. That's sick. I haven't been playing a lot of Marvel Snap, to be honest with you guys. I have not been playing a lot of Marvel Snap. And that's going to change on Thursday because I'm going to be whooping y'all. If you're a Nerd Avenger member, we're going live at 11 on Thursday. And I'm going to play you guys. And basically, I'm going to like hold up this really cool prize. I'm going to be like, yo, if you beat me, you get this really cool prize. And then I'm going to fucking crush you. I'm going to hold my prize and be like, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Try to be there. Eric D says, my 7-year-old niece just had a DBZ birthday. Can I get a shout out for Noelle? Hey, shout out to Noelle. Glad you had a DBZ birthday. 7? Holy cow. Holy cow. 7 years old. Now you're pretty much ancient. Happy birthday. Chris Listenfeld says, Kevin needs to be unplugged and plugged back in. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. But will Josh actually mail the prize? I always mail the prizes. It's just that it's going to take some time. And to be honest with you, we're trying to get better about that. We're trying to get better about that. Okay, Jimmy B says Ant-Man isn't going to clear 500 million. Such a big L in context of what it was supposed to be. Loveness comments make me real nervous going forward. Yeah. Look. The sky's not falling, but damn, I felt like they really needed to nail this. And I feel like this movie not doing what it needed to do is going to put an incredible amount of pressure on Loki season 2. We're in it together. We are in it together. So we'll figure it out. We'll talk about it. And either way, we'll have the fun that we have. But man, what a weird time. Trev says Marvel needs budgets under control, as most nerdy franchises need to realize soon. 500 million box office looks a lot better on a $100 million budget compared to 200 million. Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. I think they're I think they're in this really difficult position here where the way they feel they get out of this is kind of something that I think fans are a little bit sick of as well. So, like, I almost feel like they feel like they need to just crank and do more reshoots and add more crazy stuff and do all this other stuff. And like, oh, multiverse this and all that. And it's really weird that we might be at a time where, you know, because like Bob Iger's even saying, like, it's getting really expensive. He's been preaching, like, accountability. I mean, if this movie doesn't get to 500 milli, it's probably not going to break even in theaters because it's like you'd have to get to 600 million if this really, and they have reported that this movie cost $200 million. It's a $200 million movie with probably a $100 million advertising budget. So that's like $300 million. And I think the rule is basically like you need to triple that because of like just that's the way it works. So it would have to get to $900 million. So it's possible that it's not even going to break even, dude. Whoo! Wow. Yeah, tough time. D. Murdoch said, we need Marcus McFeely back. Dude, the biggest... Okay, I'm going to throw this out there, and if you agree with me, put a 1 into the chat, okay? Here's the biggest W, the biggest thing that could really help Marvel out right now. Russell, I haven't even said it. Jesus. Russo brothers are actually directing Secret Wars. That's it. All of a sudden, Russo brothers are directing Secret Wars. Turns out, we actually got him. By the way, I'm not reporting that. I haven't heard shit about that. Apparently, Feige doesn't want them back. What happened? Did he get body snatched? Like, what's happening? But if that were to happen, I think that would be like the PR win. I think like that would be the thing that they desperately need right now. So I don't know. We'll just see. David says, with director's cuts proving to be better in the past, would Marvel benefit from releasing Quantumania and maybe even others in more polished and complete versions and fire Jeff Loveness? Much love. I don't really think so, man. Like, because again, even in the example of Batman v Superman, acknowledging that the director's cut is way better, the amount of people that have even seen that, it's not comparable. The theatrical cut is what counts. The theatrical cut is what you get graded on. The theatrical cut is what impacted the whole franchise. So I don't really think so. Here's a wild idea. Give us the polished and complete version in the fucking movie theaters. Chippeweeze says, many people don't know this, but the writer of The Dark World wrote Infinity War. Yeah, he took an L, but I believe in redemption, and I think he'll do good. Fair point. I've seen a lot of people bring this up, and I think it's absolutely fair to point out. Marcus McFeely wrote The Dark World. And The Dark World is very similar to Quantumania in a lot of ways because it's like kind of tonally weird. They had all these reshoots. They lost the director, had to bring another director in, all kinds of rewrites. It's a very product-y movie. But it doesn't destroy the MCU. You know what I mean? It didn't like drag the whole MCU down. So, yeah, I think Loveness, and maybe I've done a poor job of like kind of really expressing this in the stream, but I'm actually not on Team Fire Loveness. Like I'm not. I think don't fire Loveness, but don't release another movie like this. Which, they delayed the Marvels and they're putting a lot into the reshoots on that. They're trying to tonally shift it. Whew, I'm nervous about that one. Thank you for the support, though. Sheev Burger says TMNT looks like a wannabe Into the Spider-Verse. Oh, yeah? I actually thought it looked kind of cool. I think it looks kind of cool, to be honest with you. What do you guys think? The new TMNT? Good or bad? Movie Buff says, random question. Jamie Campbell Bower as Sinister? Is that the... No, I'm thinking of Nikolai Costa. Who is this person? Jamie Campbell. Who is this person? Oh, the Stranger Things dude? Yeah, I could see it. I could see it. Also, would you like to see the Hellfire Club in Marvel, or who would you cast? Love your channel. Yeah, I would love to see the Hellfire Club, man. And I don't know. I thought the lady that played Emma in First Class was pretty good, actually. I'm really bad at casting, so I can't really get into that. But thank you so much for the support. Larold says, just happy to be here. Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it. And he followed up and said, if you haven't yet, you should check your house for radon, #1 cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. How are you and Elisa feeling about the train situation? Yeah, it's a little bit rough. Luckily, we looked at like wind patterns and like how the river basin, like we got all we looked at a lot of stuff, and I actually feel like we're probably okay. But yeah, man, my heart goes out to the people there and the people in the surrounding area and stuff. I mean, we're not feeling like we're panicked and that we're gonna, get out of here and everything like that. But yeah, it's kind of a scary situation for sure. Appreciate the support. RJ Phillip with a $10 holla. Thank you so much, man. It says, my tingle is petering. Just got home from date night. Work can go bleep off today. Getting wings and beers with the boys this afternoon. Mental health day. Feige needs one of those. Nerd Ventures for life. Yeah, definitely, man. Like, real talk. Like, look, here's the I guess my concern, man, and this is just because, like, this happens to me sometimes with just the channel. It's like when things are not going well, you lose a bit of your confidence and you start second guessing yourself. And what that can create is even more bad decisions, which compound the anxiety, which creates even more bad decisions. It's a really bad cycle to be on. And my thing would be, like, real talk, like, just get out of all of that, take a little break, turn the brain off a little, realize that you are that guy, and then get to work on proving it. Like, that's what I would do. And I'm like, I just really hope that he's not, because, like, it would be a damn shame if, like, articles came out or, like, something came out where, like, under Chapeg, Feige felt so constrained that he, like, wanted to quit or, like, almost had a breakdown or whatever. Yikes. That would be crazy. That would be crazy. But I'm glad your Peter's tingle thing. Pause. Marvelous Menace says, don't stress. Just remember, we got the best MODOK. D. Murdoch says, we need to just call it and tell Loveness and Waldron to leave the castle and bring back Marcus and McFeely. That would be so wild, dude. What if at San Diego Comic-Con this summer, Jeff Loveness and Michael Waldron come out on stage with Kevin Feige, okay? And behind them, there's the logos of, like, the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, right? And Feige, like, comes out and he's like, but you know what, guys? We've been thinking a lot about, the fan reactions to these kind of things. And so I'd like to bring out onto the stage some familiar fan favorites. Marcus and McFeely. And then, like, Marcus and McFeely come out and then, like, it gets all tense and everybody's like, yo, what's going on? And, like, Loveness is, like, looking around and, like, Waldron is, like, looking around and all that sort of stuff. And then, like, they start to have, like, a face-off. And then, Kevin Feige's like, oh, yeah. And, I'd like to, bring out to the stage as well, Anthony and Joe Russo. And then, like, Anthony and Joe Russo, like, bust through the fucking door and come in and they give fucking Loveness the chair. And then it's literally all four of them, Marcus McFeely and the Russos, like, literally giving, like, a WWE beatdown to, like, Loveness and Waldron. And then they're dragged off the stage in this, like, bloody pulp. And Feige's like, let's fucking go. And it just gets, like, I don't know. I think it... I don't know. I think it could be kind of cool. I think it could be kind of cool. Okay, Elijah says, at this point, I'd rather watch your hot update scoops of the newest anime instead of a millionth Kang video trying to untangle poor storytelling. You don't say that, okay? You don't say that, Elijah. But also, you're probably right. Much love. Appreciate the support. Low Live says, do you think Quantumania would have been better as more of an Alice in Wonderland type of movie focused on Cassie. Feels like a miss from the concept. I agree with you. It feels like a miss from the concept. As far as it centering on Cassie, I mean, I really didn't think that Catherine brought it. I felt like she kind of dragged the film down. So I don't know if you want to do that kind of a film with that actress. Now, if it was Emma Furman, maybe, maybe she would have had the chops and actually been able to support something like that. Faux show. Vito says, it feels like you just need some fuck it in your life. Just go get some good blinkers and relax. Stress ain't good for you, homie. Oh, yeah. Look, I still feel good, but I think the stress comes from really acknowledging like where we're at and being like, damn, dude, like I don't want to present, like I don't want it to be a bummer. So, because then it's a double bummer, right? Because it's like, oh man, the content's a bummer. And then like the streams and the videos are a bummer. So we're not trying to quite get there. That's where the stress comes in. But other than that, like we're chilling. And I'm trying to just be cool and figure out, hold on to the stuff you like, man. Hold on to the stuff you like. And, that's why I think some of the cartoon streams have been so fun. And, because there's like, we'll always have like the great stuff. Like after Quantumania, I went and watched Winter Soldier. And I like literally was like, damn, dude, like that shit was awesome. You know what I mean? Like that shit bopped. And so we'll always have that. Like we always go back and watch Infinity War and Endgame. And I don't want it to seem like the sky is falling. The sky is not falling, guys. But we're also in a very precarious situation. So, but I appreciate you, brother. Parker Thwip says, I like to think MODOK's butt was Loveness' response to the pointless Thor butt moment. Loveness showing us normie bodies some love and body positivity. Body positivity. You too can look like an uncooked chicken wing. And it's okay. That's a good one, dude. Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, maybe. I don't know, bro. I don't know. That's an interesting take. Jordan, welcome back to the Nerd Avengers. Shit. Wait, here. Chippeweeze says, I feel like MCU in a place where no one exactly knows what is going on in the exact state of the world. And I think Phase 5 will explain it well. Yeah, I hope so. Look, the stuff next year seems really awesome. Sentry, Red Hulk, yeah. And either way, we're going to have fun, right? So we're going to have fun. We're going to joke about it. We're going to, enjoy what we enjoy and criticize what we don't. So it's all good. I appreciate you, though. Slick Demon says, I was so behind, so I caught up watching at 2x speed and just went to normal. And now the combo seems so heavy. Wishing you nothing but the best, broski. Bro, it's not, I don't think it's that heavy. I think we're good. I think we're chilling, But appreciate you. Reed says, any hype for DBZ Budokai Tenkaichi? I love those games on PS2. I honestly liked Budokai 1, 2, and 3 better. I felt like the Tenkaichi games were like a little too weird. They weren't like traditional fighters. You're like flying around. It's all platformy and stuff. But having said that, with modern graphics and game engines, I think Tenkaichi is probably going to be pretty awesome. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be real good. Ginger Snowman, again, thank you so much for being a Nerd Avenger. Low Live says, how many Mandalorians does it take to kill a snapping turtle? 1. If he's flying in an N1 Naboo Star Cruiser that's been modified like a hot rod. Let's go. Mandalore says, it looks like you need a haircut. Suggestion. Shave it all off. Babu likes bald Josh. Ooh, if Babu's into it, maybe I'll do it. Thanks, Mandalore. Appreciate you, man. D Murdoch says, Mando season 3 episode 1 wasn't too crazy and overwhelming because it's technically like the 4th episode of the season since the last 3 episodes of Book of Boba. Fair. Jar Jar. Dude, that's fair. Bro, I can't believe they don't even acknowledge the Luke stuff in the recap. Do you guys think there was ever a version of that recap that had Luke in it? Like, do you think they ever just like thought about it and they were like, oh, like maybe we'll do this, maybe we'll do that. And then they just like kept saying like, no, that's going to confuse people. No, that's not going to, like, dude, it's almost like admitting that it's too confusing to even explain. By it not being in the recap, I almost feel like it's too confusing to even explain. You know what I mean? Like they'd just rather not. You know what else? You know what else I was thinking about? How did Din even know where Luke was? Like, they've never explained that, right? How did Din even know where Luke was? Did he, like, open up the door right after the door closed, like, and the episode went off? He, like, opened up the back door, and he's like, you know, we should probably actually exchange information. And Din's like, yeah, you're probably right. Like, give me your number, you know, what's your WhatsApp or some shit like that. How does he even know? How did Ahsoka know? Like there's some questions, you know? There's some questions. Anyway, Jar Jar Jargon says, think we get an episode of Mando without Din? I clipped Nerd Theory on my channel where Theory predicts exactly what happened in Book of Boba Fett back in 2020. Really? That's crazy. You know, on a totally different note, there's a thing going around right now where, if you guys, this is another like UFC thing, but Henry Cejudo, if you guys know who that is, he was training with John, and there's a literal video of Henry going through the exact shit that John did in the fight. It's crazy. Like, Henry's like, and you'll probably find yourself in this position with him. Don't stay in this position too long. You got to switch and try to drag him down. And then he'll be open for something like a choke. And it's like, it's fucking crazy. You watch it and you're like, what? Like, that is exactly what happened. And that's why I said, like, dude, John's fight IQ is high. And he really does surround himself, at least recently, with a lot of really smart coaches. Ross says, hate to say I told you so, but that's not Babu. See if the article's working. Oh, God. Oh, no. I can't. I don't even want to get into this article. I don't want... No more. No more. We're having happy fun times. We're having happy fun times over here. Drake Odinson, thanks for the $2, man. The second son says, 8 months flu. Thank you for helping me through everything. Black Sheep Gang for life. She-Hulk, P.S. was Spider Noir fake. What? Angry Feige, She-Hulk, P.S. was Spider Noir fake. What does that mean? What's going on here? That makes as much sense as fucking Kang. XA says Kang less than Ant-Man, less than Jon Jones. Thanks for the $20, man. But I feel like you should have done that the other way. Like Jon Jones greater than Kang, greater than Ant-Man, or something like that. Anyway. Sashin says, Mom walks in midstream, gifts me an Iron Spider diorama figure for my birthday. Much love, Josh and the fellow Nerd Avengers. Yeah. Dude, that's sick, dude. I love the Iron Spider. Is it like MCU Iron Spider or is it comics Iron Spider? Because I kind of like the red and gold from like the Civil War in Marvel Comics. Yeah. Kenzie Martin says, if the nerd apocalypse happens, you can always transition to conspiracy theories. Love when you in theory talk conspiracies. Yeah. I almost made a tweet yesterday, guys. And I said, if this tweet gets over 1,000 likes, I will start a social commentary / political channel. I was like this close. because there's like a lot of stuff that like I feel like weighing in on and like talking about, but it's just so. I mean, we think nerdy stuff's toxic. Like that stuff is like straight up toxic, and so I keep like kind of fighting that where I'm like, oh, I could do that, and I have something to say, but at the same time, like it's just so toxic, dude. Like people are just so toxic. And they're so upset about it. You know? It's difficult, man. Almost feel like even now when the big properties are stumbling a little bit, I feel like even now it's still better than what it would be like if I were in the political spectrum. You know? It's tough. Caden Beatty says, you're the man. Been a rough little patch of my life lately, but your streams are a nice escape. Appreciate all you do for the community. Nerd Vengers for life. Caden, I appreciate it, and I hope that things improve for you, man. I think they will, too. Brian Laura with the 10 spot says, just put Sydney Sweeney in every Marvel movie. Can she act, though? Can she act? Do we care? I'm not sure. Appreciate the love. Logan M says, Nerd Theory tonight. What do you think if they put Hayden in the Vader suit at the end of Jedi? I think it would have been dope if they got some CGI to him. I think we're doing a Nerd Theory tonight. I haven't exactly heard from Theory, but I think we're on for tonight unless something comes up for me or him. So that should be fun. And yeah, man, Hayden in the Vader suit would be cool. I think you might get to see a little bit more of that, maybe in Ahsoka. Vito with a 10 spot says, oh, Barry, you can't change everyone. Remember what your grandma used to say. Accept the things you can change. Let go of the things that you can and have the wisdom to know the difference. Yeah, that's the Serenity Prayer. That's the Serenity Prayer, Veden. So I heard that. The Second Son says, sorry, was the Spider-Man Noir leaks real? You talking about the Amazon stuff? I think it's real. I'm pretty sure. It's real, bruh. All right, let's give away some gosh dang gift cards here, huh? Let's give away some gosh dang gift cards. Okay. Let's give away some gosh dang gift cards, would you? Okay. First thing we got to do. So we currently have 884 members. So that's 9 pages. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 pages. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to roll one die, and it is odd, which means we will start from the first page. Then we're going to roll a D9. How do I... What the fuck? I actually think it's a different dice roller we used before. Let's go here. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So let's do a 9-sided virtual die to select the page. I wish I could, like, blow that up. Hang on. Dude, it keeps, like, putting it down there. It's just not, like, visually cool because you guys can't really see it. All right, we'll work on that. Remind me to try to work on that. You see the little number above my head? Do you see it above my head? Boom. Page 6. So let's go. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's a bunch of people on page 6. Looks like a bunch of pretty old school, longtime members. Now we got to roll a 100-sided die. I really wish there was a way that we could, like, focus on that. In fact, yeah, no, it's just too difficult to do in the moment. But I want to try to do this better next time. Okay, boom. 20. Okay, so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is OG Larry. 13, 14, 15, 16 is Jeff. 17, 18, 19, 20. It's Omegon. Dude, am I crazy or did Omegon win another one of these? I almost feel like he did win one of these before. Am I crazy? Chat. Am I crazy? I feel like this is the guy. Rigged. I feel like that's the guy. All right, so that's the first winner. Now let's do this again. Let's roll one die. And let's see. A 2. Okay, so we'll start from not page 9 this time. Okay. Now we got to roll a 9-sided die. And let's see here. Ooh, page 2. I think that might be the same page because that's 1 and that's 2. Oh, yeah. A bunch of old school people on here. Oh, man. I see a lot of active nerd vendors on this list. Oh, man. I see a lot of people on this one. Okay. Here we go. See what number it is. Boom. 13? Low numbers today. Low numbers. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12 is Dallas Parker. It's the person right underneath it. Just a dude on a phone? I don't know if I've ever seen this guy in here. Watch him be in here today. Just a dude on a phone? Are you in here? Just a dude on a phone? Hello? I'm a dude on my phone. Can I have it? That's my alt account. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Well, the good news is this. If that if this person, if neither of them claim it, which I'm going to put it out there, I'm going to try to talk more about it on streams and stuff like that. If they can't claim it, we'll do the drawing again. Okay? So that is what it is. What else is going on, chat? Just pick me. It's my birthday Thursday. Can't do it, man. Can't do it. Can't do it like that. Can we talk Mando leaks? Not here. Not here. And I think we should just talk about them after they come out, man. After the episode comes out, we will talk about the deal with all of that. Yeah. I'm never far away. Can I read your super chat? I thought I did. I thought I went over all the super chats. Oh, okay. Thoughts on Nerd Erotic. Also, will Loveness be fired? I don't think Loveness will be fired. I'd be surprised if he does. And, you know, honestly, I don't really have a lot of thoughts on Nerd Erotic. I think that, look, Nerd Erotic, I remember when Nerd Erotic kind of first started blowing up, and the first thing I thought of when, like, I watched a lot of the videos or, like, saw it, I was like, damn, those thumbnails are pretty fucking awesome. And he has like a really interesting style with the thumbnails and things of that nature. At the end of the day, like, YouTube is a game, And there's interesting ways to play it. I mean, obviously, Nerd Erotic is a very successful YouTube channel. It is also not the kind of content that I personally like, because I do think it's very sort of negatively driven, borderline like SJW grifting, although I think, to be fair, he's gotten much better at that. But I think, my problem with Nerd Erotic and a lot of the people in that group, so for instance, like Jay, right? Like, I really like Jay. I think Jay has a big heart. I think he's like an incredible human being. But I just think that the way he views a lot of these issues is just something that I very much disagree with. And so it's not my thing. That's not like the content that I watch. But at the same time, I fully acknowledge that a lot of people watch Nerd Erotic. Do you know what I mean? And so there's obviously a big audience for what he does, and a lot of people probably really enjoy what he does. I think that a lot of people that criticize Nerd Erotic or come after Nerd Erotic or whatever, they're also out of pocket, So yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of the take. I think it's kind of like one of those situations, take it or leave it, So that's the best I can say. John says, I greened out talking about Loveness and just woke up. Did I miss the raffle? Much respect, Josh. Andor is top tier Star Wars. Multiverse Madness is good. Waldron over Loveness. Did you miss the raffle? Yes, you did. You missed the raffle. Andor is top tier Star Wars. Ugh. God. Yeah, I don't know about that. Chief. What do I think about Connor's face/head at UFC? I think human growth hormone is a hell of a thing. That's what I think. I think he's got the HGH face. I think he's got the HGH chin. And honestly, maybe a controversial take, but I really don't care. I think they should all be jacked to the gills. Everybody wanted, I remember when they cleaned up baseball. They cleaned up baseball and they got all the steroids out of it. Dude, I'm sorry, but I loved these fucking mountain men jacked to the gills, making a baseball bat look like a toothpick and fucking yoking these balls out of the stadium. I thought it was awesome. I'm sorry, dude. I thought that shit was awesome. Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, stepping up to the plate, spitting out a little bit of trend, and yoking a ball out of the stadium. Shit. Maybe a controversial opinion, but yeah, I didn't care at all. The second son says, just preach and bore, because it's boring. Yeah. Yeah. I want to watch scrawny guys fight. I mean, scrawny guys can fight, and it's awesome. The best fight of the night was, there were a lot of incredible fights, but I thought the best fight of the night might have been the Kazakhstan guy. I forget both of their names. I'm blanking on their names, but that was an incredible fight. And then there was that other. There were some really good fights with some skinny, scrappy guys, for sure. But I just to me, what are we doing here? What are we really talking about? We're talking about people getting into a cage with 4-ounce gloves, trying to beat the shit out of each other. And so I just think it's kind of silly where it's but we don't want them to hit too hard. We don't want them to get too big and muscular. It's I'm sorry, I do. That's just me. I want to see them jacked to the gills, ready to go. Yeah. Jon Jones, baby. Josh is a big fan of Jones. Oh, jeez. Am I doing a Mando watch party? I am doing a Mando watch party, yeah. I will be watching The Mandalorian with y'all tomorrow night. You're not the one getting hit, though? Yeah, for sure. For sure. What are you saying? That, like, if I was, I'd be like, I don't want them doing steroids. You know what else is very interesting about not necessarily steroids, but testosterone? Is it actually helps to heal neurological damage. And so a lot of these guys, like, taking all this damage to the head, they actually should be on some HRT or TRT because it's actually going to help them from getting CTE. Like, there are actual good things about that shit too. But did I watch Demon Slayer this weekend? My girl and I were disappointed because we thought it was going to be all new content, but we still had fun. Oh man, I wasn't going to like get too into this, but I hated it. I thought it was horrible, dude. And we had like a really rough day on Saturday. Just had one of those days where like a ton of little things go wrong. Right? Like the car heater stops working. The windshield wipers are not working. You know? A little problem here, a little problem there. And then so we get into the theater watching Demon Slayer. And apparently, and some people have said like, oh, well, they advertised it as an event and that they said it was going to be the last 2 episodes of last season with the first episode of season 3. And so like, I understand that. But the reality is if there's a lot of people that are having the take that it wasn't good, it felt like a cash grab and it was unfulfilling. So if a lot of people have that take, then it just has to be the case that it wasn't marketed correctly. In the marketing that was done, is it possible that there was stuff out there that explained it? For sure. But it should have been kind of like up front. It should have been way more out there that that's what it was. I've talked to a couple of different people about it, and a lot of people just felt like it was underwhelming, felt like a cash grab. And the other movie is not like that. Like the train arc movie is not like that. So I thought the movie was really disappointing. I still love Demon Slayer. I'm still really excited for the new season, but I thought it was... I did not have a good time, man. I did not. Seth says, my B if you already talked about it, but Demon Slayer movie mid? Dude, yeah, mid for sure. I just talked about it again. Lucas Tex Venture says, I'm a little late, but is the Hulu being sold for Hulk Namor rights? It's possible. There's probably something to that, although my take is that it's something that's they've discussed, but that doesn't mean it's actually going to happen, right? So I would be pretty surprised if that's actually the way it went down. But sure, it's probably something that people have talked about for sure. You know? Mm-hmm. Sounds like how Dragon Ball Super movie was retread of the Dragon Ball Super Season 1. Or maybe it's vice versa. Yeah, it's vice versa. So the movies came out and then the anime adapted it. I also thought that was a mistake. There's some differences in the anime version that are just completely ignored later on anyway. But it's a little bit like that. I just felt like it was so... Yeah, I really didn't have a good time with it. I would not have gone to the theater to see it had I realized what it was. And if you didn't realize what it was, like, I would not recommend going to see it in theaters. But here's the other side of it. Like, if you love the fight at the end of season 3 and you think it's like so incredible, like, because I have a buddy that says he thinks it's better than anything in Bleach. And I'm just like, no. Especially not in the 1,000-Year Blood arc. Like, the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, unbelievable. Like, mind-blowing. But if you really feel that way, then maybe it's dope enough to, like, go into the movie theater and see that on the big screen. If that's the kind of fan you are, totally. For Elisa and myself, we had literally just got done finishing season 3, so it felt horrible for us. And we were like, I cannot believe they're doing this. And then she kept saying, like, do you think they're just going to, like, go into that whole backstory thing? And I was like, nah, I hope not. And they just did it. Wasn't a fan. Wasn't a fan. Yeah. Anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Much love to y'all. I really appreciate you guys. And, you know, a lot of you guys like say, like, oh, dude, you do so much for me, or like, you know, the streams are really great and I'm like going through stuff and they're really helpful. You guys are really helpful to me. So I really appreciate you guys being here. So thank you guys very much for that and for all the support. If you are one of the winners of the gift cards, please let me know. I'll try to remind you guys throughout the week about that. And yeah, we'll be back at it. Remember, no stream tomorrow. The Nerdvengers stream is Thursday this week. We will do a watch party tomorrow night / Wednesday morning. And we should have a Nerd Theory tonight, but make sure you check out Twitter. We'll tweet about it if we do not. Okay? As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Sheev Burger says MCU been trash since Phase 3 ended. Nobody likes these characters they're promoting. It was clear with comic sales. I mean, I kind of can't agree with. I can't disagree. You know, I can't. I mean, I kind of can't disagree with all that. You know, so, you know what I mean. Now, also shut your mouth. I appreciate you guys. I really do. Don't have too much more to add. Only that we're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this, and you know how we're gonna get through this? Together. Hands held, arms interlinked. We're gonna be fine. Yeah. Now make sure you open up that third eye. Make sure you wash out your stinky butts. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Get some sun. Get out there and exercise. Make sure you're